Warfare is changing, and so is the weapon that fuels it. Currently, America's defense arsenal is working to adopt new technology to fortify its weaponry. Join us as we take you on a journey through technology at its peak, designed to keep the U.S. in power over the global state. Number 10. Navy Multifunction Phased Array Radar. The Multifunction Phased Array Radar, known as MPAR for short, isn't new in the U.S. Navy arsenal. Its origin can be traced to an old technology called the AN-SPY-1, which is a U.S. Navy shipborne radar. The AN-SPY-1 was first used as the standard air search radar in the 1970s by the U.S. and other allied nations. But this radar was not perfect. It had a very high false alarm rate, as it detected swarms of insects and clutter from nearby mountains. It wouldn't have been a problem if it was just meant to be a weather radar, but how do you know when a threat is actually near? Different versions of this radar rose throughout the 1990s. During this time, the NOAA used the AN-SPY-1 as a tool for meteorological research. But by year 2003, the AN-SPY-1 had been developed into the Multifunction Phased Array Radar MPAR. Unlike the conventional radars that use a large parabolic dish to focus the radar beam and rely on motors to move the dish in longitude and latitude, phased arrays are an antenna array. They compose of different small antennas on a flat panel, which steer the radar beam electronically by changing the phase of the signal emitted from each antenna element. These signals come together in the desired direction and strike out in other directions. For those familiar with physics, it is a phenomenon known as interference. This ability of the phased array radar makes it more reliable to give the right alarm when detecting a threat, and also decrease the cost of the system. The MPAR provides much faster volume scans, comprehensive wind profiling, and more complete insights into supercellular structure, while simultaneously tracking aircraft. The only drawback of the MPAR is that it doesn't support dual polarization, which means that the signal it gives will be different in the horizontal plane than the vertical. Although the MPAR uses great technology and its unique features beat the conventional radar hands down, it had to be removed from its tower structure. And now, it has been advanced with a dual polarity feature using lessons learned from the operation of the MPR. This means nothing can move around this radar undetected now. Number 9. Quantum Stealth. Imagine being able to penetrate an enemy's camp without being seen. Sounds like magic, right? Snap out of that movie. This is reality. And yes, it's possible. With the advanced technology used in building the quantum stealth, anyone can be invisible. Hyperstealth is a known Canadian camouflage company, and a well-respected one at that, but on this invention, the company outdid itself. Hyperstealth patented the technology behind a material that bends light to make people and objects nearly invisible to the naked eye. The quantum stealth was developed primarily for military purposes to conceal agents and equipment, such as tanks and jets in the field. In case the soldiers are in a place equipped with infrared and ultraviolet imagers, it is no match for the quantum stealth. What makes the quantum stealth the best of all other camouflage materials is that it is not limited to specific conditions like forests or deserts. This material, also known as the invisibility cloak, works in any environment or season at any time of the day. But how exactly does quantum stealth do this? It is all because of the lenticular lens. To break it down for you, it is a corrugated sheet in which each ridge is made up of a convex, what you understand as an outward curving lens. Now, do not think it is something you have not seen anywhere. Most likely, you have seen them in 3D bookmarks or collectible football cards. You may ask why they can't make anything invisible. That's because they are left clear rather than being printed on. When multiple of these lenticular sheets with different lens distributions are layered in just the right way, they can refract the light at a myriad of different angles to create what are called dead spots. By doing so, the light will be unable to pass through the points, concealing the objects behind them from whoever is in front, while the background remains the same. In case you didn't get that right. CEO of Hyperstealth, Kramer, used a simple illustration to paint a clearer picture. In his explanation, he used a glass of water as an example. He said this material bends light like a glass of water does when a spoon or straw inside it looks bent. Got it? Let's move on. But hey, you still got questions like, what if the material has the thickness of a sheet of paper? Well, after quantum stealth was demonstrated, it showed its ability to work even with that condition, staying lightweight and inexpensive to produce while being substantial enough to also block thermal imagers. And in case you're wondering if this material has any downside to it, the bad news is yes. It requires the subject or object to stand a certain distance away to be concealed. That's not all. When viewed from different angles, the effect might be more or less convincing. But overall, you'd agree that this technology is super amazing. Number 8. The trophy system. Here's another system that will leave you with great astonishment. The trophy system is a combination of two different systems which include hostile fire detection, also known as HFD, and active protection system, APS. Now let's break it down. What this system does is that it proactively detects, located, and if need be, neutralizes anti-armor threats. Trophy dramatically increases platform survivability and creates a new paradigm of networked threat awareness for maneuver forces. With this system, the military forces need not worry about anti-tank threats in flight, as it neutralizes them in 4 stages of engagement. 1. Threat detection. 2. Threat tracking. 3. Countermeasure activation. And lastly, threat neutralization. The last stage is not active all the time, as some detected threats may not necessarily pose a danger to the platform. But in cases where the system detects danger, it neutralizes the threat and thereby conserves ammunition and minimizes the chance of collateral damage. In other words, if the opposing side mat continues to send missiles or grenades to an armored tank with trophy system as many times as possible, the tank will remain solid in its state. Some of the things that have been of concern to the force are the weight and mobility of weapons. Now, the good news is the power and sophistication of these weapons have surpassed the modern armored forces even with their lesser weight and mobility. Trophy is available in 2 main configurations, which are Trophy Heavy Vehicle and Trophy Vehicle Protection System. The system for heavy and medium armored vehicles, known as Trophy HV, is used to protect heavy and medium armored vehicles from threats ranging from rockets to high explosive rounds. Trophy HV offers 360 degrees of protection and high-angle elevation coverage while maintaining user-defined safety zones for friendly troops on the ground. It's sounding too good to be true, right? Trophy HV is fully tested, qualified, and in serial production for the Israel Defense Forces. This system has been used by the Israel Defense Forces since August 2009, and it has proven itself in combat multiple times against advanced threats. As for the lighter weight system, it can also be used for medium armored vehicles as well as light armored vehicles. The Trophy's technology was re-engineered into a smaller and lighter factor. It retains all the performance and features of its larger predecessor, while enabling its further integration on both medium and lighter weight armored vehicles. The vehicle protection system also gives room for additional protection technology as time goes on. This system makes it seem like the soldiers just need to stay in the tank and do nothing. Number 7. Future Force Warrior. The Future Force Warrior is another good technology in modern weaponry. It uses technologies such as nanotechnology, powered exoskeletons, and magneto-rheological fluid-based body armor to provide the infantry with a significantly higher force multiplier than the opposing force. This concept is not traditional to the US or any other army, and it was not intended to solve every problem the force will face in years to come. However, it is created to see how the soldiers can be helped in the future. In the first phase of the project, the technology was developed to help reduce the soldiers' fighting load and power requirements. At the same time, this system will help improve the soldiers' protection and also create environmental and situational awareness. The initial plan was to introduce the subsystems every 2 years instead of a big rollout every 10 years. But after seeing what this technology can do, the US military looks to go into a full production of the Future Force Warrior. This system is designed in a way that would make you think of your favorite sci-fi movie. The uniform is being developed under the Future Combat System program and includes a weapon, head-to-toe individual protection, an onboard computer network, soldier-worn power sources, and enhanced human performance. The very first type of Future Force Warrior system was created in 2010 and will also be used for more immediate, short-term demands of the battle space. One other amazing thing to note about this uniform is its less weight. soldiers have been found to carry large amounts of external weight, often 55 kilograms or more, to be battle-ready, but the new uniform will only add 22 kilograms to their normal weight. The uniform's body armor is also capable of absorbing the shock of a bullet much better than bulletproof vests. The shell-like body armor has been stood off of the body by 5 centimeters, so if the soldier is shot, the force is more evenly distributed to decrease injuries such as broken ribs. This is definitely what every force should have. Number 6, AGM88 Harm. Let's start with the acronym HARM. It stands for High Speed Anti-Radiation Missile. It is a tactical weapon fired from fighter aircraft, and of course, harms. It can detect and counter radiation emitted by hostile radar stations that have surface-to-air detection capabilities. This is one system designed to find and destroy radar-equipped air defense systems. It has high speed and has a solution to radiation. It can detect, attack, and destroy an enemy target almost automatically, and therefore needs little human assistance to function. After it detects signals coming from a threat right from the ground, it identifies the major and actual target from different ground-based emitters and then destroys it. This weapon is propelled by smokeless, dual-thrust rocket motors and can be deployed by FA-18 and EAGB Navy and Marine aircraft or by the Air Force's F-16C. It weighs 800 pounds and it is less than 14 feet in length while only 10 inches in diameter. It has a range of more than 30 miles and can travel more than 760 miles per hour. The missile has a fragmentation-type warhead and is made functional for radar targets. The missile also carries an anti-radar homing seeker broadband RF antenna and receiver with a solid-state digital processor. All of these features make it almost impossible for it to miss its targets. Number 5. Multiple Independently Targetable Reentry Vehicle. Multiple Independently Targetable Reentry Vehicles, known as MIRVs for short, were originally developed in the early 1960s to permit a missile to deliver multiple nuclear warheads to different targets. The traditional missile would carry a single warhead to attack, but the MIRV can carry multiple warheads. A good example is a Russian MIRVed missile, which is under development. It can carry not less than 16 warheads simultaneously, with each of them being in a separate reentry vehicle. Now you have an idea of how they came about the name for this system. Warheads on MIRVed missiles can be released from the missile at different speeds and in different directions. Some MIRVed missiles can hit targets as far as 1,500 kilometers apart. The land-based MIRVed missiles are considered particularly destabilizing. These missiles are a much more effective target when compared to traditional land-based missiles because a single attacker can take out several of their enemy's warheads at once. The initial intention wasn't to defeat ballistic missile defense, but they are much more difficult to defend against than traditional missiles. Therefore, we can say they are effective countermeasures. There's a need to know that the development of MIRV technology is not easy. It requires a lot, which includes the combination of large missiles, small warheads, accurate guidance, and a complex mechanism for releasing warheads sequentially during flight. The first country to develop MIRV technology was the United States. They deployed a MIRVed intercontinental ballistic missile in 1970 and a MIRVed submarine-launched ballistic missile in 1971. The Soviet Union didn't waste time. They almost immediately did the same, and by the end of the 1970s, they had developed their MIRV-enabled ICBM and SLBM technology. Today, not only the United States is in use of this technology, but also the United Kingdom, France, China, and Russia. However, the United Kingdom and France use MIRV technology on SLBMs. China alone has MIRVed ICBMs, while Russia deploys both MIRVed ICBMs and SLBMs. Considering how long this technology has been in use, it is most likely not getting abandoned anytime soon. Number 4. Iron Dome Air Defense System. The Iron Dome Air Defense System is a multi-mission mobile air defense system developed by Rafael Advanced Defense Systems. The system development aims to counter very short-range rockets and 155mm artillery shell threats with ranges of up to 70 kilometers. Unlike some air defense systems, it can work in all weather conditions, including fog, dust storms, low clouds, and even rain. The all-weather air defense system protects the population and critical assets and can be strategically placed to reduce collateral damage. When you heard about the multi-mission air defense system, it was no joke. The Iron Dome detects, analyses, and intercepts a range of incoming threats, including CRAM, which means counter-rocket artillery and mortar, precise guided missiles, cruise missiles, unmanned aerial vehicles, and air-breathing threats. So far, the system has intercepted over 2,500 incoming targets with a success rate of over 90%. The Israel Defense Ministry selected this system majorly to protect the civilians of Israel's northern and southern border. This happened as a result of the rockets that were fired by Hezbollah during 2006 Second Lebanon War. About 4,000 rockets, mostly of the short-range Katyusha type, were fired on Haifa and other northern regions of Israel. During that war, 44 Israeli civilians were killed in the attack, and approximately 250,000 citizens were evacuated and relocated to other parts of Israel. Israel suffered a great deal from the enemy's rockets and mortars between the years 2000 and 2008. Over 4,000 mortars and 4,000 rockets were fired from Gaza into southern Israel. As the range of the rockets was expanded due to the introduction of 122mm Grad launchers, nearly 1 million southern Israelis came within the range. To counter the threats, the Israel Defense Ministry decided in February 2007 to develop a mobile air defense system. After the world learned of the Iron Dome's great abilities, the United States House of Representatives wasted no time to approve $205 million to speed up its production and deployment back in year 2010. The Iron Dome is indeed a lifesaver. Now it's time for today's subscriber's pick. This image shows a powerful reaction. Looks like lightning struck the surface of the sea, causing a terrific reaction. But lightning cannot just do that to water, right? What do you think caused that reaction? Do you think it is a type of weapon that works with water? Do you think this is representative of one of the weapons we have introduced you to here? Let us know in the comments section below. Number 3. Military HoloLens. This particular technology is interesting as it can be used by civilians and not just soldiers. The HoloLens was created by Microsoft, and it was initially created for the business market. These headsets are the first self-contained holographic computers, which mean you don't need to connect them to another device, such as a laptop or smartphone. The HoloLens uses augmented reality technology with its lenses displaying digital information and graphics. That sounds fun, yeah? You can see these displays as if they are right in front of you, and you can interact with the given information using voice commands and hand gestures. The microprocessors in each headset constantly map your environment and track every movement around you. It means the digital information you get stays in place even if there's movement. The headset also has multiple sensors that enable users to interact with the digital content. For example, soldiers can use their hands to gesture like they would with a touchscreen. So in case they are at a location where they wouldn't want to use their voices, they can easily use their hands. The major goal of the military modernizing its equipment is to reduce casualties and improve accuracy and effectiveness. The HoloLens is one of the modern equipment to help achieve that. Even though the government has not publicly declared what it hopes to achieve with the HoloLens, the features give us some clues as to what should be expected. The HoloLens will enable the soldiers to see their surroundings clearly, even when it's dark. It will serve as a light to anyone that wears it, but not to others in the same environment. That way, soldiers can move in the dark without alerting their enemies with light. It also makes it easy for them to see around corners and through the smoke. That way, they can reduce the risk while carrying out their operation. The HoloLens also gives the soldiers digital information without anyone else knowing about it. When soldiers are out carrying out an operation, the commander can easily spot the location of the enemy and map it out for the rest of the troops to see without tipping off the enemy. All the commander needs is his hands to perform that operation. Initially, the troops had to rely on maps and other two-dimensional resources to navigate the terrain. But it can be difficult to achieve if the enemies constantly change their positions. With HoloLens, soldiers can see a three-dimensional representation of their surroundings. This will help them avoid ambushes and make better strategic decisions. As you know, a soldier must be fast and at the same time be careful in cases where there are victims and perpetrators in the same building. The HoloLens make it easier as it enables soldiers to identify targets easily. This reduces the risk of unintended grief and public scandal caused by misidentifying targets. What's more, augmented reality allows soldiers to train in more realistic scenarios that match their missions. The best way to train or practice is to make it real, and the HoloLens are here to make that happen. By doing so, it can improve accuracy and reduce risks. And this is not only the risks the soldiers encounter in battle, but also the injuries they suffer while training. The HoloLens are indeed all shades of safe and good. Number 2. Unmanned marine vehicles. Unmanned marine vehicles can be unmanned underwater vehicles, also known as UUV, or unmanned surface vehicles, also known as USV. The major difference is that one travels on the surface of the water while the other travels underwater. Let's start with the UUV. Unmanned underwater vehicles, known as UUV for short, and sometimes known as underwater drones, are submersible vehicles that can operate underwater without a human occupant. Isn't that cool? But how does it operate? These vehicles may be divided into two categories, which are remotely operated underwater vehicles and autonomous underwater vehicles, also known as AUVs. ROUVs are controlled by a human operator but done remotely, just as the name suggests, while the AUVs are automated and operated independently of direct human input. The UUV has external fins perpendicular to its frame, which allows for a linear movement of the UUV and deeper controlled dives. These gliders use buoyancy-derived propulsion, which increases the duration of dives and their range through up and down movement in the ocean. There are different designs of the UUVs, which include the Manta Ray, which was developed by researchers at Chinese University in September year 2021. It was designed to collect information about the Sisha Islands. There are some UUVs designed to mimic the silhouettes of animals to facilitate movement and prevent detection. However, the Manta Ray design allows the UUV to camouflage with marine life and contributes to the ease at which the craft swims through water. There is also the oxygen, hydrogen, air-independent propulsion design. UUVs are naturally oxygen-dependent vehicles that require oxygen to resurface. But with the development of a propulsion unit that does not require oxygen or hydrogen, the ability for the UUV to stay continuously underwater increases drastically. And lastly, the lithium and water power source design. The newest source of power for UUVs could be the free energy reaction of lithium or water, as it produces 8,530 Wh/kg. Its energy is 5% above the already established sources of energy densities found in today's UUVs. The USVs, on the other hand, travel on the surface of the water and they vary in size. The smaller ones, which are less than 10 feet long, are generally intended for research and data collection. They come with sensors below and above them for the aim of taking measurements, and also other features that would help them get accurate data. They use electric motors for their propulsion, with batteries as an included component. Some offer a diesel-electric system for longer missions that take about 1 week, or solar panels for even lengthier voyages that can take up to a month. There are medium-sized USVs that are unmanned surface vehicles in the 10 to 30 feet long range. USVs in this class are multi-purpose. They are used for scientific and commercial purposes. For the larger USVs, they are longer than 30 feet and are as big as a supertanker. The unmanned marine vehicles will make good equipment for the naval forces, but unfortunately, it is not currently in use as regulations restrict its use. It needs to be properly tested because no human will be with the vehicle to operate it. Number 1. The laser weapon system. This system is an effective type of weapon that uses lasers to inflict damage. It is a type of directed energy weapon called DWs. DWs are electromagnetic systems capable of converting chemical or electrical energy to radiated energy and focusing it on a target. There are different types of DUs, but we will focus on the laser weapon system. Different types of lasers have been identified as potential non-lethal weapons because of their abilities. They can cause temporary or permanent vision loss when directed at the eyes. This effect of the laser on the eyes depends on the laser's power, wavelength, collimation of the beam, orientation of the beam, and duration of exposure. Lasers with a power output of less than 1 watt are capable of causing immediate vision loss under certain conditions, making them potential non-lethal but incapacitating weapons. However, The use of such lasers is morally controversial due to their extreme effect on humans. Weapons designed to cause temporary blindness, known as dazzlers, are used by military and sometimes law enforcement organizations. As effective as it is to combat the enemy, pilots have been exposed to lasers while flying and they have fallen victim to the weapon. This is why it is not advisable to use it in any space anyhow. Currently, laser weapons capable of directly damaging or destroying a target in combat are still in the experimental stage. The general idea behind laser beam weaponry is to hit a target with a train of brief pulses of light. The United States Navy has tested the very short-range, 1-mile, 30-kilowatt laser weapon system to be used against small targets like rocket-propelled grenades and visible motorboat or helicopter engines. For years, there have been research and experiments on directed energy weapons, including lasers, but still, it remained at the experimental stage. It is, however, not clear if and when this technology will be deployed as a practical, high-performance military weapon. One of the major issues with laser weapons is atmospheric thermal blooming, which is still largely unsolved. This issue is exacerbated when there is fog, smoke, dust, rain, snow, smog, foam, or purposely dispersed obscurant chemicals present. In essence, a laser generates a beam of light that requires clear air or a vacuum to operate. If at all the laser weapons will be used in the future, it would require extensive development to limit its effects to a particular target, not especially at a very close range, but for now it remains restricted. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.